happiness, I would treat it more in the inner world as opposed to the outer world. Because when you interact with the outer world and you get your desires fulfilled and when you get your needs fulfilled, I would say that is more success, that is more a superficial kind of happiness. But the real happiness comes when you dwell inside your inner world. And the inner world is a very simple word. You know, you get satisfaction by getting up in the morning, looking at the sun rays, keeping a note of your breathing, you're going for an exercise, entertaining positive thoughts, just being in silence, doing things by yourself. This is what the inner world happiness is all about. And during the day, many times the mind wanders between the external world happiness and the internal world happiness. One which is temporary and one which is more lasting. So I think the challenge in today's society is more trying to focus on the inner happiness. And that will help, especially in the current context where the world is moving very fast and you're always running on wheels and there's a time when you get a little tired. So how do you get rejuvenated from that tiredness? When you look inside to simple things like the inner world and gain that kind of peace of mind and happiness. If I see my parents' generation, suppose they moved in purely from from a comparative point of view, if they were moving at say 15 kilometers, we are moving at about say 45 kilometers. That means 3 times faster than they. But our children are moving at about 160 to 170 kilometers. Because I think the knowledge is being gained by humanity to a far degree of velocity that can never be imagined by the previous generation, and so on and so forth. I always tell my children there are 3 important phases in life. First, it is dependency. When you depend on your parents up to a certain stage, then naturally you want to grow out of dependency and then you become independent. Then you pursue your own unique interests, which are different from your parents, etc. etc. You may go outside and study and take up a job, etc. Then you settle down in a family of your own. But then you don't entirely become independent at that time. You become interdependent. You become interdependent on your partner. Later on, when the children come, you are interdependent on the parents. The parents are also by that time aged, so they also want to depend on the children for their emotional, fulfillment. It is not because today I think in the entire generation you might see that the parents are financially independent. But there is a small, wanting. That wanting is to be able to help the children, to grow up, to help nurture the grandchildren. And what do you get at the end of that? You get fulfillment, you don't get enjoyment. So as opposed to enjoyment, the fulfillment is something that one keeps aspiring for as one grows from young people to mature people.
Self-sufficiency is the best happiness. That's only the thing which I learned in my life. Natural, if our ambitions are fulfilled, we feel very much happy. One or two different, slacks will be there, snack will be there in the life. We may feel unhappy, but we have to console ourselves first. One should not come to a sudden decision. A decision taken in a very husky, very early this thing, without thinking, that gives a wrong decision. That may be a wrong decision. Mostly it will be a wrong decision. But once you think for some time and spend some time on that issue, definitely the problem will be solved. We can take a a better decision than the decision taken at the hurry. Self-content is the best kind of have for happiness. One should be self-content. If that is not there, the unhappiness starts in the life. Religion, of course, every religion will have its own good things, and we have to only pick up only good from the others, not bad. Picking up bad is very bad, is easy, but picking up good is very difficult. So I take only the good things from the others. And we have to learn only, first we have to learn only how to attain good from the other religions. And every religion it's have its own good things always. In the country there will be so many religions. Every religion will have its own, say for Muslims, in this thing, for example, they do definitely namaz at least 5 to 6 times a day. It's a good thing for them. We have to learn from them. Like that, Christians, they go Sunday definitely wherever they are, they believe they spend their time in church, and they find satisfaction through that. Like that, Hindus, we go to the God, temples. Spiritual thinking will have definitely, they will have a very cool mind. Positive thinking should be there, always. A spiritual person definitely will have positive thinking always. They will take good decisions.
See, what I want to say is, a person when he is suffering, maybe due to health or due to money and no influence like that, that type of people, it depends on them also. They must have a strong will. Even when we are suffering, it is not that we have no money, we are poor people, what can we do? Like that, not like that. It is a willpower. If you have a willpower, even from that stage you can come out.
Family value means we are depending for children because there is a generation gap. Generation gap. Our generation thinking and young generation thinking quite different nowadays, and they are limited circle only. Young generation, ours is joint family like that, relatives like that. Now this younger generation himself, misses one kid or two kids. That's all. Is
This is the family and family, wife and husband, children,
family
grandchildren.
means all the
Cooperative.
members, children and parents, they should
Jointly.
live jointly
And
exchange
unity.
their unit and exchange their any suggestions or something like that.
So,
But it is not possible now. It is not going now because the generation I told you now. So young generation they are thinking after getting 20 or 22 years. After you people are very old, we are young, like that. 99% young generation is getting the same thinking. What I am observing from this thing outside. Center, same any religion obtained. Speak truth. Don't harm anybody. Like that. All religions are same thing.
okay.
Destination is one, but ways are different. That's all.
I always maintain that happiness comes from within. So it's how I face the situation and how I deal with the situation that makes me happy or otherwise.
I don't know if it is different because everybody is going through the same life. In life, you have so many ups and downs which everybody goes through. It's how people get through it.
this is a very controversial thing because those who follow religion with a lot of zest tend to very strongly believe that without religion, morality is going to go out of the window. Whereas if I have to use rationality and act out of ownership and take responsibility for my problems as mine and mine alone, then I will feel very burdened, very alone, and very inadequate. So these are happy, buffers to help me get on with things, to resolve my issues, and also not be impacted by too much of the stress of living it alone. I don't feel alone when I believe that there is a God or a deity or somebody protecting me. Man had to create God to just deal with this whole confusion of just living. It's like I cannot wrap my mind around the incredibly illogical things that are happening around me. So I have to create something else which is higher and bigger and better than me, that has supernatural powers, which then makes all these things logically explainable or acceptable. And not logically, but explainable and acceptable. So the ability to connect to something imaginative seems to have a lot to do with your ability to cope and be well in the midst of, the chaos of life. If we look at spirituality, if you really understand the concept of spirituality, I think it is the most rational principles operative in the world. So in that way, if you actually apply spiritual principles to a problem, whether it's personal, interpersonal, social, financial, no matter what, I think you're good to go, that you will be guided by rational principles. Very often, I cannot say that will be the case with religion, because religion then tends to place various kinds of restrictions at various levels. So if you apply spirituality to problem solving, you're already on a rational path, is what my sincere belief is. Now, because it's interchangeably used, religion and spirituality, people tend to run away from both. Like, I cannot say that in general, when faced with a problem, this is what people do. Because I think even in that, there is so much of variability and so much of unpredictability. So we have the whole spectrum of somebody going all the way to an extreme of considering or actually attempting or succeeding at suicide, to the other end of the spectrum where some of the most difficult challenges bring out this incredibly strong transformation in that person and the life situation that they're dealing with, that they transcend the problem and become somebody that they didn't know they are capable of becoming. So in how you engage with the problem is how you deal with the problem. If you engage with the problem as, oh God, why is this happening to me? How come everybody else is happy? Why me alone? If you take that attitude and tend to get bogged down by it, then it leads to a certain kind of outcome. On the other hand, if you look at it with an approach of, okay, something's going on with me. This is not normal. This is, yeah, sure, this is weird, but I'm going to take this as a challenge. And let me see what I'm supposed to learn from this. Let me see what is the best way to do this without losing my spirit, without losing my soul or my beliefs or what I stand for. Then, magically, just very amazingly, it turns around. Now, if you look at a common thread that binds these kind of transformative possibilities when faced with a problem, the common line would be an individual's willingness to face the truth of that situation without fudging it or cutting corners in any way. So the sooner I can identify what's going on and see the truth of it and confront it fully and squarely and not avoid or reduce or negate or minimize or walk away, the better I am at allowing that situation to transform. It's almost like you agree to yield to the situation so that it can then transform you into somebody that you didn't know you would become. So just as there are certain structuring processes like education, socialization, upbringing, marriage, all these, which bring out a certain part of you, challenges also are destructuring events which disintegrate who you are and rebuild a new persona, new personality. And I think that's the whole fun of life. That's the whole amazing, incredible journey of life, where somehow the universe is ensured not one moment can be boring or repetitive of a previous kind of thing. At the bottom of all this, I think what one needs to really remember in times of difficulty is that you deserve to be happy and you have what it takes within you to create that happiness for yourself. And you're not going to give up on yourself.
The soul is the self, which emanates consciousness. And if you're going to benefit people, you have to benefit them in a holistic way. You see, in modern time, holistic means that people have psychological needs, physical needs, intellectual needs, social needs, but also spiritual needs. But if you say spirit doesn't exist, well, how are you going to fulfill the spiritual needs if you deny that it exists? So therefore this dogma that spirit doesn't exist is actually harm to the modern people, because you deny a deep need in the people. Because every human being has a need when they come in a certain age and they're going to look upon life, especially when they are young. When you go from youth, irresponsible life in one sense, to responsible life, you will question, what is it all about? Why am I suffering? Why is the world so much evil in the world? What is happiness? What's the meaning of life? Spirituality starts with becoming aware of what is life, what is the spirit. And it's not such a mystical thing. The spirit is simply, we are persons. That person is eternal soul. That's why we refuse to die. Even the body dies, the soul will not die, because it's against our nature. That soul is actually happy by nature. That's why we are searching for happiness. And it's filled with knowledge also by nature. That's why we search knowledge. And the energy of the soul is consciousness. There was one modern scientist, famous Schrödinger, I think was his name. He said, we know much about matter, but we don't know about the consciousness that we use when we make research. The consciousness is the closest to ourselves, but there is not a modern science about it. So you might say, well, I don't see the soul. Well, there are many things you don't see. You don't see the atom either. You don't see the electron. Nobody saw an electron. You just see some effects. You don't see the sun when it's cloudy, but does that mean that you say the sun doesn't exist? No, you see the light. Therefore, you know there is the sun. The soul has the nature of happiness and bliss also, and love. That people search for love, even animals. This is a symptom of life. A robot, you can make a robot which can execute many types of occupation a human being can. But a robot is not a person. It is not a soul. It's just a machine. The body is a machine. Actually, the mind is also a subtle machine, but the soul is not a machine. It is free. It's searching for happiness, love. No machine will search. You can crush a robot, it will not protest, because there is no life. So there is a clear difference between matter and spirit. There are two different energies, and one is not a product of the other. No, they exist parallel, always. well, only I am I. In one sense, we are alone. Nobody can live our lives. We have to live our own lives. At the same time, the humans are social animals by nature. And actually, the reason, and not only the humans, other animals also, some of them at least are social. And it actually goes back to the soul. The soul is also not just alone in a whole universe, independent of everything else. No, the soul is together with so many other souls and part of a higher soul, the supreme soul, which is God. Just like it's compared to the sun and the sunbeams. The sunbeams consist of photons, small particles of light that goes in wave, isn't it? Yes. So similarly, the Supreme Soul, God, is like the sun, and the souls are like small particles of God. Therefore, we are divine by nature. And we are unified because we all come from the same source. And we have the same basic nature. As we have the same basic nature, this is the basis for respect. Great problem in social interaction or in association is a lack of respect. And there is a drive towards equality and brotherhood, fraternity. But it's a proper ideal. It's a good ideal, but it's difficult to practice, as we see. And it's much more difficult to practice if you don't know the unity of the Spirit. Is that you need spirituality. You need to know that not only that we are souls and we have the same nature and we should be equally respected, but we are souls together because we have the same origin. So there are so many statistics showing people are not getting more happy, even though there are so many facilities and so much comfort and so much material progress. There is actually an opportunity to find peace and satisfaction deep inside because it is the nature of the soul. But for that, you have to develop your consciousness. You have to nourish the spirit because there are no limit how many desires you can have, and you get something you want more, and you get that you want more, and then you become greedy. And when you're greedy, you become uncontrolled. And then comes envy. Somebody else has more. But these are all misunderstandings. The soul is satisfied by its own nature. You don't need to overconsume. This is an illusion. But you cannot understand that unless you strengthen the spirit. You can understand it theoretically, but you can't live according to it. You can tell people, yeah, you can't be happy by money. Yes, yes, yes. I know that. And then we go and run for money again because we can't stop it. Because we are attached. But when you strengthen the spirit, you can actually be more detached. Doesn't mean you can't have money. You can have the money, but it won't bind you. It won't control you in the same way anymore. That's freedom. That's a relief. So when you strengthen the spirit, there are side effects. You become more peaceful. That means it will be more, we don't want war, we don't want conflicts. But in order to avoid that, we have to ourselves be peaceful inside. If we are not peaceful inside, there will be conflicts. Because conflicts come from many, many individuals who are individually not peaceful in themselves. People knew, that was the wisdom of the people. They knew that what I get is what I put into this world previously. That's a responsible life. And it's important to inform people. If you don't inform people about this should be a part of education. Then you are harming people. You're not making them aware. You know, isn't that what parents do with children? They make them aware. If you do like this, you will harm yourself. So there's a basic flaw in the protection of the people. If you don't inform them that they are subject to reaction from their actions, which is part of the spiritual science. When the spirituality is fully developed, then you can actually fulfill your deepest need as a person, and that is to attain full love. A love that is not going to disappoint you. Because this is the deepest nature of the soul. And it's a love which you cannot imagine. It's incomparable. Okay, people are attracted to love, it gives a very good feeling. But the love which is actually in the soul is far beyond that. It's far beyond that. It's so overwhelming you cannot imagine it. And when you reach that, then anything else seems insignificant. Doesn't mean you don't deal with it, but it is really not. And this is what is called the ultimate goal of life. Spiritual life does not mean just take away this, take away that, take away, deny this, deny that. No, spiritual life means to add the Spirit into what is already existing. You can make your family life spiritual. It's quite common today to have, be a skeptic to religions because there's been conflicts between different religions, and some people promoting some religion, they have done very bad things, and some even made the conclusion that all evil comes from the religions, and some don't like organized religion because in the organization there might be corrupt things and like that. But you cannot throw out the child with the bathwater. It's not that because phenomena which are not top class are connected to religions, therefore we throw out the whole concept of religion. Because if you throw out the whole concept of religion or spirituality, well, then you are losing it. I tried to explain that already. you neglect the needs of the soul. So, because the word religion is Greek, it's Latin, it means legare, means to reconnect. And the same as the word yoga. Yoga means to connect. So yoga and religion is more or less the same in its ultimate sense. It means that the soul takes strength and nourishment by reconnecting to the Supreme Soul. Just like a spark, which is connected to a fire, will stay glowing. But if the spark flies out of the fire, after some time it will just extinguish, become lifeless. So actual religion and spirituality actually bring people to life. It's like waking up to what you really are. So regarding the conflicts between the religion, one has to learn to see what is the common factor in religion. If there are some universal principles, and focus on them. You will find, for example, that in all the main religions of the world, there is an idea about chanting the names of God. You find it in Christianity, you find it in the Quran, you find it in the Hindu scriptures. This is a universal principle because it's a very easy way to connect, chanting somebody's name. But it's a spiritual name, it's not a material. So this is just one example how one can overcome these sectarian differences by finding the common factor. And I think that's a need in modern time. For example, the whole world is now getting globalized. Why is it getting globalized? It's a business thing. It facilitates business all over the world. So to facilitate spirituality all over the world, you also have to pave a way for seeing the common interest in different religions. And that's possible when you see, religion without philosophy becomes sectarianism and fanatism. Religion should be based on understanding, on a spiritual science, and on philosophy. Then it will not be sectarian. The crisis or difficult situations in life are actually, the purpose of them is actually to awaken us spiritually. If in such a situation we just escape or try to find some material solutions, we are not taking advantage of the crisis. Why we need crises? Because we are slow and dull to actually take life seriously. As long as we have wind in our sails, we tend to be blind to the reality. For example, we're all going to die. Have you thought about that? We can die any time. Have you thought about what's going to happen after death? No, but we sleep about that. But if you have a terminal disease, then you wake up, maybe. Wow, it's real. I may die. And it's a fact. Many people become more serious. And so these crises are not bad. They are good. But if you escape, it's not good. So in summary, spirituality, the need to be made space for spirituality as a serious aspect of human life. And spirituality has many good side effects, socially, mentally, intellectually. So it will benefit our material life also, and as well as it will really fulfill our deepest needs as a soul. Pain is unavoidable, and suffering is optional. In other words, and he was a spiritually advanced person. So in other words, you don't have to suffer your pain. How do you suffer your pain? Yeah, when you expect there's not going to be pain in this world, then you will suffer. When you get spiritually educated, you will get to understand that to expect that there will be no pain and trouble in this world, this is illusion. Because suffering actually means frustrated expectations. So realistic expectations, and then higher taste of spiritual happiness. This means this is the basis for vitality in the blues.